Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitcherista here on YouTube, and today is Monday, January 10th. And it's amazing when you clean the lens on your camera how much clearer your video looks. Someone had told me to do that, and I need to do it before I record every video because wow, the difference, you guys, amazing, just amazing. So, how was everyone's weekend? Our weekend was good. Bill, Saturday, I did a video, you guys, you saw I got my hair done. And one of my subscribers, Mary, commented, and I read the comment after I'd already washed my hair, that, you really shouldn't wash your hair for like 2 days after you get it colored, because your cuticle is then able to close and seal in the hair color. And when I did some research, because I was so curious about that, they say you should actually not wash your hair for like 72 hours. And I was like, fuck me, because, okay, well, I'll remember that next time. So I had a massage at 3:30. And then Bill went and played poker. I had sushi for dinner. And what did I watch? Oh, I watched 2 movies. I watched the Candyman reboot, which I really liked it. Some people didn't like it, and I think you have to see the original Candyman to appreciate this one because it ties directly into it. So I watched that, and then I watched this bizarre movie called The Alpines, and I think it was on Amazon Prime. It was this group of friends that they went to college together, and it was 10 years later, and they all got this letter to come to a lake house. And they all thought that each other owned the lake house and then had sent the letter, but in fact it was just one person, and everyone has secrets, and it's a train wreck. Like, it goes downhill very quickly. It was entertaining, let's put it that way. So I watched those 2, and then I forget what else I think I was watching YouTube because I stitched a lot. Wait until you see the progress I have made. So I stitched a lot, and Bill texted me. I would say he had been gone about 2 hours or so. Our next door neighbor's dog passed away, which was very sad because Bill loved that dog. When he would pull up from work, the dog would come out and greet him. And, Bill has a soft spot for dogs. I love dogs too. And, everyone loves Bill. So I texted my neighbor and said, I'm so sorry. Bill told me about the dog. If you need anything, let me know. And so I asked Bill, I'm like, what happened? He's like, well, I'll tell you when I get home. So when he got home, we talked about it, and he told me what happened. And just very, very sad. The dog was 11, so it was an older dog, but still just unexpected and sudden. So that was very sad to hear that. Bill was the big winner at poker. Now, they only play for like dimes and nickels and stuff like that, but he came home with a big giant bag of change. But he also came home drunk. Now, he didn't drive. Our neighbor drove. Our neighbor doesn't drink, so our neighbor drove. Bill came home and he says, right away, I'm a little drunk. Well, he tells me he had 9 beers. Dude, you are a lot drunk, because he doesn't normally drink but 1 or 2 beers at home like once a week. 9 beers. Now, that was over the span of like 7 hours, though, too. So, but still, Jesus. And he smelled like a big fat cigar because all the guys there smoke cigars. I said, don't even put those clothes in the laundry basket. You go right downstairs and you strip and you put them in the washing machine, because he reeked. Like, it was awful. But yeah, so I had stitched a lot Saturday night, and then Sunday we got up, and Sunday for me, I try to treat as a lazier day, meaning I don't put on makeup. I sometimes don't even brush my hair. I wear comfy clothes. Like, we don't do very much because usually I'm going all the other days of the week, right? Well, the last football game was on for our team, the Ravens, and stepdaughter came over and watched it with us, and we had Little Caesars pizza. But yeah, I literally sat on the sofa or in my recliner like all day. Read some. I played Bingo Blitz. Did just relaxed literally the whole day. I mean, did laundry, empty the dishwasher, that kind of normal stuff, but literally relaxed. And then I stitched so much last night. I decided, Bill went to bed early. He went to bed like 7:45. And I said, well, I'm off today. So I was like, I can stay up if I want to. And Jill told me about that show, Stay Close, on Netflix, which is based on a Harlan Coben novel, which they've also adapted another one of their novels, The Stranger, I think it's called, which was really good. So there's 8 episodes, and I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. And my stepdaughter keeps telling me to watch Squid Game. She's like, you like twisty stuff. You'll love this. So, but you have to be able to watch and not do anything. So I think after I watch Stay Close, I'm going to start watching Squid Game. So I stitched from 8 until midnight. I watched 5 episodes of that show. I couldn't stop watching. It is the craziest, but in a good way, show that I've watched in a long time. So I'm on episode 6, so I have 6, 7, 8, and so I'll probably watch those either today or tonight. And I'm telling you, the Raycon earbuds, that was one of the best presents that Bill got me for Christmas, because I use them every night when I'm in here, so I don't disturb him with the audio on my iPad. I have them synced to the iPad, and I can wear them for, I wore them for like 4 hours without them hurting my ears. They're really, really fantastic. Okay, so stitching progress, because remember, my goal every month for 2022 is to do the block on the Modern Folk Embroidery, the Fruit of Plenty sampler. And then depending on when I get done in the month, I can work on whatever else I want to the rest of the time. And I realize that some months I'm probably only going to get done that block because things happen, work happens. I've had a little bit of a break here since the arbitration, hasn't ended, but the next time we have it next Wednesday and Thursday, and then we don't have it after that, at least so far, until the last 2 weeks of March, and that's going to be it. So, but yeah, wait till you see. Now remember, I am stitching this on Hand-Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, 18 count Aida in Jello Shots. And someone commented on my video that said, I'm going to start it on 18 count Aida too, but I don't know how to buy a large piece of fabric. It will fit on a fat quarter. Every shop that I've ever bought fabric from sells fat quarters. So it will fit on that, which are normally 18 by 26 or 18 by 27. On 18 count Aida with a 2-inch border on each side, the piece is 14 by 21. So if you have a 2-inch border, that lets you have 18 across, 14 plus 2 plus 2, and then 21 plus, it's actually 2.5 and 2.5. You have 5 inches. So you could do 2.5 down, 2 inches in. Yeah. Okay. And I'm also stitching it with Sulky. I'm stitching it with black and then the color 0192, which is Plum Dandy. I love the colors that they give. Okay. Are you ready? You're not ready because I have made much progress. Let's go, right? I stitched so much. Doesn't this look so utterly fantastic? So now all I have to do is all of the inside. It is looking so good. I absolutely love this piece so much. It has been so much fun to stitch. And everyone approaches stitching a pattern in a different way. So like when I got to this part, I literally just started up here and said, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I literally just did that. It wasn't like, because you look at this and it could be a little daunting, like, oh, that's a lot of white space and how are you going to count? I just did it row by row. That's literally how I did it. Oh my God, right? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I did get some books that I ordered in the mail. Remember, I am reading the book that Jill bought me right before Christmas. It's called 7 Dirty Secrets. Very, very good, a young adult book. I have about 100 pages left of that. But I have become obsessed with Rachel Russell's Dork Diaries, which Jill had told me to buy some of those for her daughter for her birthday. Birthday's January 15th, so this week. And I'm hooked because they're just so fantastic. I have read 1 and 2 on my Kindle, but I wanted to get the hardcover and see what they were like. So I got 3. This is the hardcover. And just to give you an idea, I mean, the girl draws pictures and to explain things, but it literally looks like a journal, a diary. It's so fantastic. And then I also bought, they had a box set of 4, 5, and 6. There were like 16 books in the series. So I'm planning to read them all, which is going to really, I'm probably going to have no problem hitting my goal of 60 books this year, because these are about, it doesn't even have page numbers. Why are there no page numbers on these? Oh, there are. They're about 300 pages a book, but you can see that it's not like complete solid words on some of these pages. And I'm a fast reader. Like, I read one of these in a day and a half. So, yeah, I've already read for this year, I think I've already read 3 books. And we're only in the 2nd week, right? So doing really well. Not to mention, it will give me a chance to use my fantastic bookmark that my friend Linda stitched for me. Read a fucking book. Yeah. So very excited to, after I'm done the 7 Dirty Secrets, I am going to read book 3 of the Dork Diaries. The girls in middle school, I would have devoured those books when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, you know, books have always played a huge part in my life. I have always been a reader, and you know what? I have to say, I'm very, very proud of it. Like, I am always so glad that I have read as many books as I did. When I was a kid, my grandfather, and this is like elementary school, my grandfather would give us money for our report card. And when you were in elementary school, like, you got a lot of grades. Like, we would get like 50 grades because you got like 5 grades per subject or something. He would give us $1 for every A. And I was a pretty good student, so I would have some serious money. And I always spent the money on books. Always spent it on books. And that's why, you know, I'll never have a problem buying a child a book, buying somebody a book. Always, always, always. I wish, the only other person in my family that reads is my stepfather. And he doesn't read like I do. Like, my mom doesn't read. Charlize really doesn't. My stepdaughter doesn't. Bill doesn't. It's a shame, because I feel like, I don't know, I almost have sympathy for people that don't like to read, because you really don't know what you're missing. Like, you can just get transported to all these different worlds and different ideas. I mean, I've had ideas for just how to conduct my life from reading stuff in books. You know what I mean? So, and not to mention, it's a solitary activity, meaning I can do it and not have to have somebody else to do it with. Do you know what I mean? You can read anywhere. I mean, yeah. So when I was a kid, I would spend all my money on books. But I remember once I was in middle school, my grandfather, God bless them, because they would literally come and pick us up whenever we wanted to go somewhere. And my grandfather would never not take me to the library. So, you know, my parents worked during the day. So in the summer, he would come take me to the library, give me a quarter, because there was a payphone outside the library, and say, call me when you're ready to become picked up. And there was a limit, I want to say, at that time. I don't know if there's a limit now of the books you can check out. I haven't been to the library in a long time, I'll admit. But there was a limit of 30 books you could check out. I literally would check out 30 books, and you had like 3 weeks. I read them. Like, I read, and I know, you know, when I joined Goodreads, I tried to go through and list all the books I read as a kid. I know I missed some. I know I did, because I literally probably read 100 books in the summer. I mean, I was reading all the time. I would sit out on the front porch and read, and I just read so much. And here's another little, you know, asshole stepfather story. And I've told this story a couple times on my channel, but I know that there are new people and you haven't heard all the stuff. When you walked in my childhood home, it was like a formal living room. So we didn't use that as our TV area. My parents had furniture in there that were like wingback chairs, stuff that you would see in like Downton Abbey, like that kind of stuff, right? We weren't allowed to sit on it. And that sounds bizarre, right? It wasn't like I was 2 years old. I was like 14 and not allowed to sit on this furniture. The only people that were allowed to sit on the furniture was his parents when they came over to visit. I fucking shit you not. Like, I can't make this stuff up, right? There was a chair by the window that was like a wingback chair, but it was nice and velvety and plushy, and it was a mauve color. Like, I absolutely loved this chair. So it was by the window, remember? So when my stepfather wasn't there, or my mom wasn't there either, I would sit in that chair and read. And when I saw him pull up, I would just get up and go to my room because you had time. Like, our house wasn't that big. So the living room was right there and the staircase was right there. So I had time. Well, now I was 15 or 16 at this point when this happened because I had a boyfriend. And I must have been very engrossed in this book because here he comes walking in the front door and I'm sitting in the chair. The look on his face, the look on my face must have been priceless because you're shocked and surprised, and immediately I knew I was going to be punished. I'm telling you, in the years, once I was like in middle school and high school, because they didn't get divorced until I was 18, I was grounded more than not. And grounded for like dumb shit. Like, I wasn't a bad kid. You know, grounded for leaving my soda can on the end table, for not emptying the trash in my bedroom. And you know, maybe that's why I enjoy my solitude now, because I was conditioned that way as a kid. Like, I literally spent so much time in my room, it isn't even funny. So immediately he's like, "What are you doing in that chair?" "Reading." I mean, it's insane to think you're going to punish your child. I wasn't eating or drinking in that chair. You're going to punish your child for reading a book in a fucking chair. So he says, and my boyfriend's name was Jerry at that time. He says, "Well, you can't see Jerry tonight." Okay. Because, you know, by that time, it's also amazing what the human person adapts to. I was punished all the time. So I really just got used to it, which is such a shame because how I grew up and my brother grew up is not how children should grow up. It just really wasn't. So, okay. Now, my stepfather took it a step further. And he says, "Well, I'm going to stand here while you call him so I can listen to the exchange." Okay, so not only are you imposing a ridiculous punishment, you're going to try to embarrass me, but it didn't really work because, okay, so when I call Jerry, I say, "I can't go out tonight." And of course he says, "Why?" And I say, and I didn't lie. Like, I didn't make up any tales. I didn't take up for him. I didn't make up anything. Like, I told the truth. I said, "Because I was sitting in that chair in the living room reading a book." Doesn't that sound completely, utterly insane? Yeah, it sounds insane. And okay, I mean, Jerry knew how my stepfather was. And yeah, so didn't go out that night. Okay, stay in my room and read. It wound up just not fazing me after a while, but I would be celebrating my child reading a fucking book. How do you, it boils my blood right now telling it. Like, I can't even with that. How do you punish your child for reading a book? No, ma'am. Okay, let's get off of that because, yeah. I also received something in the mail that wasn't supposed to come until tomorrow. Let me show you. It is my Stitch Smart stand, and this is the box it came in. Now, there's a shipping label on the other side. It literally got shipped just by this box. So I am going to do a video later today setting this up because I feel like I'm going to have to like rearrange my setup in here. You know, I feel like my office is not that big. And I feel like I am very creative in how I have organized everything because not only is this my, you know, work office, you know, luckily my desk holds everything I need for work, but it's also my crafting, like my stitching area. So I feel like I've been very, very creative in using the small space. But I feel like I'm going to have to, and I'm going to try to show that in the video, excuse me, because I know that people want to know how other people's setups are. So, I also, remember the ornament that Mafia Minx Shelly got me? I've been filling it. Remember, this is how I spent 2022. So each night I've been putting, now this is obviously going to be holding mostly Plum Dandy and Black Sulky, because that is, but I've been filling it each night. Or what I do, mind you, remember I said I stitched so much the past couple days. I try to wait. Why is that not staying? I try to wait until I have like a clump of threads, because when you pull off the top, I'm afraid I'm going to break the top of the ornament because the little prongs want to snap. I don't want to do that. So I'm very, very careful with that. But okay. So I do have a job tomorrow. I'm waiting for it to confirm. That's why I like look at her email all day long, waiting for the confirmation to come through. And sometimes it doesn't come through until like in the afternoon, because I got to do prep work for it. Prep work that I haven't done in 4 months because we haven't had a regular job in a long, long time. So I'm rusty and out of practice for that. But we are going to do the Unfuck Yourself for today. We are going to do an inspirational story. But I thought, I belong to a bunch of cross-stitching groups on Facebook. And one of them is called Cross Stitch Unlimited. And somebody posted a question yesterday that really just sparked my interest. And I thought I would read you some of the comments and we could discuss it. So the post was by Lara Jones. And she says, hello all, I'm curious. What is something you wish you had known before you started cross-stitching? And when I think back to when I started cross-stitching, now there are a lot of comments, the 143 comments. So some people said the same thing, so we won't be reading all of them. The biggest thing I think for me is that you don't do the back stitch first and then fill in the stitching. You do the cross stitching first and the back stitch last. The magnet that I stitched for my grandparents, I figured, oh, let me do the back stitch because then it's like an outline. No. So here is what some people said, and you are welcome to leave your own down below. So the very first person commented and said, not to use the whole skein to stitch. Still have a couple of those early painful projects. Yeah. You don't use all 6 strands. Depending on the count fabric, you can use 3, 2, or 1. Not all 6. Unless you're working on like 11 count fabric. That would be the only time I think that you would use all 6. And the next person, I totally identified with this too. They said to not expect immediate results. It is time consuming, and sometimes I've spent 30 minutes stitching on a project and take a real look at it and you can't even tell I did anything. And my husband said the same thing. Like, he looked at the block that I was doing. Now, he hasn't seen all the progress I've done because he hasn't been in here in the past 2 days. But when he saw what I did, I'm like, you know, that's hours of work. He's like, yeah, it looks like you could complete that, you know, in like 5 minutes. No, not even near. Not even close. I mean, some of that is solid stitching. It takes time. It's time consuming. It is not an easy or quick thing unless you're doing something really, really, really small. Okay. Now, a lot of people said how addictive that buying the stuff is. Yes, patterns, fabric, floss, needle minders. I mean, I own every stand that is out there just about. Like, it really, yes, completely addicting. And someone said, don't get on every Facebook stitching group you can find. The people there are all enablers. Kiss your paycheck goodbye. You will need to buy a huge house to put your stuff in. And do not in any way surf Etsy, the web, or any other cross-stitch app you see. Yeah, I belong to a lot of cross-stitch Facebook groups because I just love to see people's finishes and stuff. But she's right. Like, you have to, like, rein yourself in for sure. Okay, and someone else said about the loop start. Yes, they say it's a game changer for sure. I mean, obviously, I'm not using it with this project because it's only 1 strand. You can... I think you probably could do the loop start with 1 strand. You can do it with 3. You can do it with uneven amounts, but I just run it through the back or do a waist knot. So someone says nothing. They said, I've loved the journey. And someone else said, all the different stands that are out there, I thought they were the same. No, dude, no, they're not the same. And someone else said, not to get too upset when you realize you aren't that good at counting. Let's go. Yeah, like, trust me when I will count something 3 times. Now, another little tip. So, let me show you. Okay, so like when I stitched, see that black line up there? That was where I started. When I stitched that line, I counted the stitches and it was like 61 or something like that. And I found this tip online and I don't know where. Every 10 stitches, now how I do my stitching is I do half of the leg, half of the X, and then I come back and I complete it, right? So every 10 stitches, I complete the X. That way, when I'm getting down here and I'm like, oh, how many have I done? I can go 10, 20, 30, 40. I just count to the X. Do you know what I mean? I may need to do a video on that because it truly, when you're stitching like a long line of stitches or like a border, is a game changer. It really was. Okay. Someone said the back side is just as important as the front. Those are fighting words. There is a definite dichotomy in the cross-stitching world about that because I feel like the back doesn't matter so much. However, carrying threads, in my opinion, is more of a concern because you need to be careful carrying threads, like carrying black beneath a light fabric. Like if you're stitching on white, you better be careful because you will be able to see that through the front. And also, you don't want to have knots on the back because when you frame it, sometimes that can show. But as far as anything else, I mean, people are like upset at other people's backs of the fabric. No, shut up. No. Okay, someone says count twice, stitch once. One of my first projects was a picture of a cottage and the whole roof was out by 1 stitch. But it was only meant to be 1 stitch overhanging on each side, so the roof only overhung on one side. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, loop start. Someone said be brave and try different fabrics. And someone says do it when you're young, those eyes fail you pretty soon. Magnifiers. I use readers, use magnifiers. Pin stitch. Says how to put it down for the night when you keep making mistakes and the pattern loses all meaning to you. Yeah, I wouldn't. Oh, one of my things too, stitching and alcohol does not mix. No, indeedy. Be cognizant of that because you will be tearing out stitches if you drink and try to stitch. Someone else said that you can change colors and patterns to please you. Absolutely. You can, someone said, my first project was for my grandmother and it was a girl with 2 geese. I was working hard at the geese and getting frustrated. This person was only 10 when they did this project. And I was worried I wouldn't finish it in time for Christmas, so I stopped working at it. And my mom noticed and asked to look and she said, why don't you take out the girl and just stitch the geese, which she had almost finished. Game changer. Yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want with a pattern. Seriously, you really can. Someone said, look at each part of the pattern before you buy it. Be truly in love with the pattern before you commit to starting it. Yes, because some of these are very deceiving. Make sure you look at the stitch count too. Someone said, only do patterns you like. Yes, absolutely. If it's decent size, spending even a week or 2 on a design you really don't like can be super tedious. Yes. Absolutely. Most people are saying addiction. That it's okay to make changes to the pattern, different colors using beads instead of French knots. Yes, I do that all the time. And they also said if a mistake is made and really only noticed by you and it doesn't bother you, it's okay. I have a mistake on my, let me try to show you. I can pull it down off the wall here. This is Red and the Black Teal. This is my chemo piece, I like to think, because when I was going through weekly chemo for the first 3 months of 2017, I completed this project. This fabric is Rocket Queen by Color Cascade Fabrics in Australia, and that's on Joblin. And then it is Black DMC, and then Turquoise Silk by Dinky Dyes. So Emily C. of Eclectic Possessions gifted me the pattern and the silk. And the fabric came in the same day, and it was like kismet. Like, but there is a mistake. In this border right here, I stitched something wrong. And I didn't figure it out until I got all the way to here, and I was like, F it, I'm not tearing all that out. And when I went back and tried to figure it out, I really couldn't figure it out. I don't know where it is, but if you look at it like, you can't fucking tell there's a mistake in there. This is one of my favorite pieces I've ever done, and I framed it myself. No, I didn't. I'm a liar. The Stitching Post did it, because look, there's a sticker on the back. Oh, speaking of framing, so I was talking to Bill yesterday, and I said, you know, given that that Fruit of Plenty sampler is going to take me all year, I said, that is worthy of getting Jill Rensel to frame it. She's in Utah, and she has framed many mermaids where I have mailed her the stitching, and I usually mail it by like FedEx where I can track it. And then I will just email her and say, be creative. She'll send me she'll get some ideas, and she'll send me molds. It's hella expensive, and that will be expensive to frame that, but she does hand-painted mats, and that piece will be worthy of that for sure. So I told him, I said, I'm already planning on doing that. So just to let you know, right? Okay, and someone else said that it's okay to have whips, lots of them if you want. Do what you want. There was no cross-stitch police. Some people think they're the cross-stitch police, but they're not, right? Someone said make a working copy of your pattern and hide the good one. I don't do that, but the loop start. Okay, someone said that you should always start from the center and work out from there. And someone said, why center start? I just started a piece in the center, hated that start, and ending up starting top left corner. Okay, what did they say? Oh, so and the original person that said start in the center said you may run out of material if you start on the edge. Not if you fucking count correctly. You got to make sure you just count correctly, and a lot for the border. That's all. And then someone else came back and said, because then there are no surprises and you'll never run out of space. Well, that's not true either. I mean, you still have to make sure your fabric is calculated correctly, because even if you start in the middle, you still got to have it counted correctly. This person says, after I do the math to make sure there will be plenty of margin fabric for framing, starting in the center will guarantee the work is centered. The only piece that I ever start in the middle was Mirabilia's. I always did that because usually, you know, like the Fruit of Plenty, you're able to start in the corner because it's a corner, you know, it's a square pattern. But Mirabilia's, no, they were never like that. So I always started in the middle, and I always did the lower half first because I liked saving the face and the hair, which was my favorite part of a pattern, for last. So that's how I always approached that. Someone said, take your own pace. Yeah, just like diamond painting. Go at your own pace, and it's not a race, right? Yeah, most people said this. So that was really, they were good ones though, right? So leave it down below what you wish you would have known when you first started stitching. Okay, so today's inspirational story is called The Story of the Garbage Truck. One day I hopped in a taxi and we took off for the airport. We were driving in the right lane when suddenly a black car jumped out of a parking space right in front of us. My taxi driver slammed on his brakes, skidded, and missed the other car by just inches. The driver of the other car whipped his head around and started yelling at us. My taxi driver just smiled and waved at the guy. And I mean, he was really friendly. So I asked, why did you just do that? That guy almost ruined your car and sent us to the hospital. And that is when my taxi driver taught me what I now call the law of the garbage truck. He explained that many people are like garbage trucks. They run around full of garbage, full of frustration, full of anger, and full of disappointment. As their garbage piles up, they need a place to dump it, and sometimes they will dump it on you. Do not take it personally. Just smile, wave, wish them well, and move on. Do not take their garbage and spread it to other people at work, at home, or on the streets. The bottom line is that successful people do not let garbage trucks take over their day. That's fantastic, right? Life is too short to wake up in the morning with regrets. So love the people who treat you right. Pray for the ones who do not. Life is 10% what you make it and 90% how you take it. Absolutely. I love that. So when something is happening at work, when we have the arbitration, I need to not take that garbage truck and distribute that trash everywhere when we're done, right? Yeah, that was great. I really love that. Okay, so we're going to end with today's Unfuck Yourself entry, which is, let me tear off the other one. Okay. How about holding yourself to account for your own experience of being alive rather than pointing to your past or your shit job, dead town, circumstances, or your whiny friends? Okay, well that came in handy where I just told you about the story about my stepfather. For the most part, I believe that. However, as kids, I don't blame that. I don't blame that upbringing for how I am now. In fact, I feel like I am how I am in spite of that, right? I don't use it to whine or cry or say, oh, woe is me. I actually feel like I've persevered and come out on the other side of all of that horse shit that I dealt with as a kid. Yeah. But yeah, there are people, absolutely, that will blame everything else except themselves when something goes wrong or the reason that their life is the way that it is. So I'm thinking that that's what that's saying. So, okay. I'm going to end this here. I hope you guys all have a great Monday. As always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.